Hello everyone. We at Team Enlight brings to you Enbreezen, the daily news analysis program to help you sail through the UPSC Civil Services examination. Today, I'll be taking you through the following topics. First one, economic reforms, followed by adjusted gross revenue, followed by surveillance laws in India, and finally, ham radio. So let's start our discussion with the first topic, economic reforms 1991. So it has been 30 years since economic reforms 1991 was introduced. So why the reforms in 1991 was introduced? To overcome the BOP crisis and fiscal crisis, to stabilize oil prices, to reduce inflation, to promote faster rate of growth, and to convert Indian economy into a free market economy. The following structural changes were made for economic reforms. One is financial reforms, second tax reforms, followed by forex reforms, trade reforms and LPG reforms. Coming to financial reforms, it includes restructuring of banks, permitted FDI in banking sector, permitted service banks. In tax reforms, rationalization of taxes introduced new taxes. In forex reforms, it promoted FDI, devalued currency, FERA was changed to FEMA. In trade reforms, it removed quota, tariffs, licenses, and it changed from import substitution to export promotion, and which facilitated technology transfer. So what constitute LPG reforms are liberalization, privatization and globalization reforms. As we know that liberalization is simply the removal of bureaucratic control on the private sector. It involves delicensing, dereservation, deregulation and decontrol. Examples include abolition of license raj, and India opened private sector for investment. And next is privatization. When share of government drops below 50%, that is majority share is held by the private sector. So disinvestment in public sector units and autonomy of public sector units are examples of privatization. Next is globalization. In globalization, Indian economy got integrated with the world economy. Example, it opened borders and promoted FDI. So what are the achievements or how economic reforms has transformed India? So it fueled economic growth in India to make it one of the largest economy of the world. Example include Indian economy grew from 17th position to 5th position, and it also developed critical infrastructure like road, transport facilities, networks, etc. And it developed service sector, that is banks, insurance and all. And it increased forex reserve from 9 billion USD in 1991 to nearly 400 billion USD. It also generated employment, and we know that pharma industry became export oriented and we are the highest producer of generics in the world. And internet revolution was also kick-started in 1990s. There is a change in lifestyle and consumption pattern also. In social sphere, we can see that poverty reduced. Nearly 300 million people lifted out of poverty. Life expectancy improved from 51.4 years to 68.7 years as per National Health Profile 2019. Standard of living improved socio-economic condition of women. And even though it has got various advantages, it has few limitations such as there is a low growth of agricultural sector. The GDP in 1991 was 30% in agriculture, now it is only 15%. There is an increase in income inequality. There is a wedge between rich and poor. You can mention Oxfam report here. And globalization led to jobless growth. Indigenous industries also face competition from global players. Crony capitalism do exist and monocultural tendencies are also visible in our economy. And what are the challenges associated with economic reforms? One is the balancing of economic development versus sustainable development. Second is economic growth versus social development. In 2001, there has been an pandemic-induced lockdown which brought the wheels of economic activity to a grinding halt, triggering a sharp economic contraction. This has resulted in a collapse in production following the disruption caused by the pandemic. So the need of the hour is liberalization 2.0. In theory, India dismantled license Raj, but permission Raj still persists. Successive governments have shied away from reviewing the process of clearances. Small and medium enterprises are the bulwark of employment and exports but suffer from over-regulation and control under provision of capital. So again, India's policy on FDI has been defined less by objectives and more by crises. And it is to be noted here that no country has progressed without investing in human development, and yet India has struggled to up the spending on education and health. So this topic, that is economic reforms, is an umbrella topic which comes under the effect of liberalization of Indian economy in GS3. So you must know the basics of economic reforms and all those points that were discussed. With this, we come to an end of the first topic, economic reforms. Moving to the second topic, adjusted gross revenue. So there is an article in today's news which says that telecoms tried to alter AGR rules. So what is basically AGR? Adjusted gross revenue means a fee sharing mechanism under which telecom providers pay a usage fee to Department of Telecommunication under the revenue sharing model. So it is a fee sharing mechanism and it is under revenue sharing model. And telecom service providers pay some part of their revenue income to the government as license fee, 8% of the revenue, and spectrum usage charge between 3% and 5%. So the definition of AGR has been contested by the telecom companies and was because it has revenue implication for both government and the telecom companies. So the telecom companies claim that AGR should include revenue accrued from core services only and should not include dividend profit on the sale of any investment or fixed asset. But the government argue that AGR should include all revenues from both center and non-core income. In 2015, the Telecom Dispute Settlement and Appellate Tribunal ruled in favor of telecom companies and held that AGR includes all receipts except non-core income. So now it is not the case. The SC went to Supreme Court further and SC upheld the DOT version of AGR definition in October 2019. So now AGR comprises all revenues from both center and non-core income. Keep in mind. The court has also rejected the 20-year payment timeline proposed by central government, which was supported by telecom companies. Instead, it gave a 10 years timeline to repay the AGR rules. Now, what are the issues involved in SC ruling? So, this judgment has taken telecom companies on the verge of bankruptcy, which are already facing losses due to already existing twin balance sheet issues, lack of profits due to scale of Jio launch. So India's ease of doing business makes it hard for companies to work in India, which will render telecom sector without much competition and will lead to monopolization in the telecom sector. And finally, the AGR issue also has triggered panic in banking sector given that the telecom industry is highly leveraged. So what is the way forward? What telecom companies need to do is to improve its services, eliminate issues such as call drops, better its 4G services so that they become profitable. The government must fast track infrastructure development so that the service provided by troubled players increases. For that to happen, a new infrastructure policy is needed. So the government should devise a long-term vision plan and improve condition between government departments and companies so that such issues don't arise in future. So this comes under your GS3 mains, and apart from that, it is important with respect to prelims, the MP, AGR, the basics of AGR, what constitute AGR, etc. So that is with respect to AGR. Moving on to the next topic, surveillance laws in India. In today's Hindu, there is an article in the light of Pegasus spyware regarding the surveillance laws in India. So now we'll discuss the surveillance laws in India. There are two surveillance laws, that are Indian Telegraph Act and IT Act. Apart from that, we have Puttaswamy judgment. So what is Indian Telegraph Act 1885? So in this law, the government can intercept calls only in certain situations. That is, interest of the sovereignty and integrity of India, security of state, friendly relation with foreign state or public order, preventing incitement to the commission of an offence. You might be aware that these are the same restrictions imposed on free speech under Article 19(2) of the Constitution. However, these restrictions can be imposed only when there is a condition precedent, that is, the occurrence of public emergency or the interest of public safety. This lawful interception cannot place against journalists. Note that this lawful interception cannot take place against journalists. Moving on, There is a Supreme Court intervention in Public Union for Civil Liberties versus Union of India, in which Supreme Court pointed out lack of procedural safeguards in the provision of the Telegraph Act and lay down tapping a serious invasion of an individual privacy. And government exercises some degree of surveillance operation as a part of its intelligence outfit, but at the same time citizens' right to privacy has to be protected. Another point mentioned by Supreme Court was it introduced the Rule 419A. Introduced 419A, Rule 419A. So what is 419A? It states that a secretary to Government of India in the Ministry of Home Affairs can pass orders of interception in the case of center, and similar provisions exist at the state level. So we come to an end of Telegraph Act. Now let's look into IT Act 2000. So section 69A of the IT Act and the Information Technology Rules 2009 were enacted to further the legal framework of electronic surveillance. However, the scope of section 69 is much broader and vague than the Telegraph Act, as only condition precedent for engaging electronic surveillance is for investigation of an offence. So here the conditions are very limited. So these provisions are problematic and offer the government total opacity in respect of its interception and monitoring activities. Now, what is Puttaswamy judgment in privacy and surveillance aspects? So in case Puttaswamy versus Union of India verdict 2017, the SC further reiterated the need for oversight of surveillance, stating that it should be legally valid and serve a legitimate aim of government. I repeat, it should be legally valid and serve a legitimate aim of government. The court also said the means adopted should be proportional to the need for surveillance, and there should be procedures to check any abuse of surveillance. Note that there should be a proportional. The means adopted should be proportional to the needs for surveillance. So there are few concerns associated with surveillance, such that it threats press freedom, it is against right to privacy, it leads to an authoritarian government, and it is against due process. You may quote these points in your mains answers. So this topic comes under GS2 and GS3. Apart from that, it is important with respect to prelims, that is the basics of IT Act, Telegraph Act and Puttaswamy judgment can be asked. The Puttaswamy judgment, which was made in 2017, made fundamental right privacy a fundamental right, is also important. With this, we come to an end of this topic. Moving on to the next topic, that is ham radio. So why it is in the news? So ham radio is to aid in cyclone relief as a disaster management measure. So the key points of amateur radio or ham radio includes: it is a non-commercial two-way radio communication. It is a non-commercial two-way radio communication. And amateur radio operations are most likely to active after disaster that damage regular lines of communication due to power outages and destruction of telephone, cellular and other infrastructure dependent system. And it is to be noted that the amateur radio service is established by International Telecommunication Union. This is very important with respect to prelims. It is established by International Telecommunication Union. And in Indian context, Indian Wireless Telegraph's Amateur Service Amendment Rules governs the HAM or ham. And it is a non-commercial radio communication service. So amateur radio operators are commonly known as hams. The term ham radio is used to describe the hobby of amateur radio and not the equipment. So here it is the person, not the equipment, which is mentioned. Similarly, the term ham is used to describe a radio amateur enthusiast and not the equipment. Any citizen of India who is above 12 years of age can become a ham by qualifying in the Amateur Station Operators Examination ASO and obtaining a valid amateur wireless telegraph station. Do remember that any citizen of India who is above 12 years of age can become a ham. So this comes under your GS3. As I mentioned, it is a part of disaster management. So you can give it as a fodder for disaster management by people's participation. Apart from that, in prelims point of view, the basics of HAM, the rule governing it is also relevant. Moving on to the next topic, Here are few miscellaneous topics that were in news. Please do note this. UAPA, moon forming region around sun exoplanet, and mid-century target for net zero educate, etc. So these topics will be covered in the following in recent sessions. So we call it a day. Hope we had a fruitful session. Thank you and happy learning.